All right, so we are continuing with lesson three. This is second session, so we're just continuing on with volume. We're focusing morely on using formulas to find the volume. Instead of counting up cubes, we'll use formulas, and we'll talk about the two different formulas again and review those. But for the warm-up today, if you're in class, you'd have 24 cubes, and you would build that rectangular prism and then tell us what the base of your prism was and what the height was. The point of that being showing you that how that one formula V equals B times H actually works. So kids at home that don't have cubes can look at this. So this has a base of, uh, so our base for this one, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's the base is 24, and it's got a height of 1. So the volume of that is 24. For this next one, this has a base of 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Base equals 12, and we have a height of 2, and 12 times 2 is, you guessed it, 24. Again, you could have this, every kid could have the same amount of cubes of 24, and we're building these different shapes. Here's another shape, it's 24 cubes here. Our base is 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. The base equals 8. And then there's 1, 2, 3 layers. And 8 times 3 is 24. And the last example I'm going to show you is this base is 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. The base equals 6. And then it has 1, 2, 3, 4 layers. And 6 times 4 is 24. So a bunch of different combinations. All rectangular prisms shown had a volume of 24, but if you find the base and then figure out the height, you can get your volume. So again, just a neat way to kind of see how that second volume equation works. All right, open up your textbooks to page 37. And we have Gareth has a rectangular pencil cup on his desk. The cup is 3 inches long, let's underline that, 2 inches wide, and 5 inches high. So there's our length, width, and height. What's the volume of the pencil cup? So let's go with the classic one of volume equals length times width times height. And this is going to, our length is 3, our width is 2, and our height is 5. And you can group these guys together here to give us 6 times 5. And we should have a volume of 30. And since the unit being used here for the pencil cup is inches, it's inches like that, cubic inches, just like that. Again, the 3 there represents the 3 measurements that we're multiplying to get that. All right, go ahead and turn the page. So this just talks about 2 different strategies. You can picture the pencil cup as a rectangular prism. You could take that and then just make a vision of it being formed with cubes and count up the cubes in your head. The way we did it is we actually had a model of it, and then we took our 3 dimensions and did that. Just notice here though, we've got this one way of doing it with all 3 measurements, and this way with the base and height, that base would equal 6, and then you multiply it by the 5 there. So either way is going to get you the same answer. So just want to point that out. All right, let's look at some notes here on page 39. Explain how you find the volume of the pencil cup using the prism shown and picture it. We have 6 cubes per layer. And we had 5 layers. So that means 6 times 5 equals 30. And we want cubic inches. I'm going to stay consistent with that. Explain how the area of the base of the prism shown and model it relates to the prism and picture it. Well, for both of them, the area of the base equals 6. You could count the cubes and picture it. That has 6, or just multiply 2 inches by 3 inches, the two red measurements there, and you get your 6. 3, explain how you can use a prism and model it to find the volume of the pencil cup. Multiply length times width times height, exclamation point. And we don't even need to write out length, width, height. We know what those letters stand for now. Use the volume formula shown in model to write two different multiplication equations you can use to find the volume of the pencil cup. So split this note into two sides. We're going to use, let's have volume equals 5 times 2 times 3. That's length times width times height. Or volume equals base, which is 6 times the height, which is 5. And explain how you can use the dimensions of a rectangular prism to find its volume. That's simply just multiply them together, as in take all those dimensions and just multiply them together and you get your volume. Pretty simple stuff. Cross out 6. We're not going to do 6. Yep, you can cross that one out. And let's look at the last page here and do these together. What is the volume of a rectangular jewelry box that's pictured there to the right, with a length of 12 centimeters, a width of centimeters, and a height of 5 centimeters? So let's take this and underline this. And what I want us to do is, for this example, we're going to calculate the area of the base. And that's going to be taking 12 times 7. Now, again, the reason we're doing reflex math a lot right now is to get these multiplication facts down quickly. If you know your 12s or your 7s, you know that this equals 84. And then the formula is volume equals base times height. So let's do 84 times the height, which height of 5 centimeters. And this is probably one we're not going to be able to do in our head, so let's do it off to the side. 5 times 4 is 20. Carry your 2. 5 times 8 is 40 plus a 2. So that gives us an answer of 420. And the units for this one are centimeters, so it's going to be cubic centimeters. All right, let's move on to 8. How much space is taken up by a book that's 12 inches long? Underline that. 10 inches wide and 1 inch tall. Let's go with the classic. Length times width times height. And this is going to be 12 times 10 times 1. And I know 12 times 10 is going to be 120. And that's going to give us a volume of 120. It's inches, so it's going to be cubic inches. And this last one says a rectangular prism has a volume of 100 cubic meters. So underline that. One of the dimensions is 5 meters. So it's for all of these, A through E, one of them is 5. Which pair of measurements could be the other two dimensions of the prism? So let me explain how we're going to figure this out. So all of these are going to be 5 times something, since one of the measurements is definitely 5. What we have to do is test all of these other measurements and see if they equal 100. And if they do, that's our answer. If they don't, then it doesn't work out. So let's try this first one. 5 times 1 times 20. That does equal 100. So right away, this is a possible measurement. 5 times 5 times 10. That 5 times 5 gives me 25. Multiply that by 10, that gives me 250. That's not going to work for us. 5 times 10 times 10. I know 5 times 10 is 50, and 50 times 10 is going to be 500. We're going in the wrong direction. We're getting much bigger. This is 5 times 4 times 5. We've got 20, and 20 times 5 equals 100. That's a winner. And let's try this last one. I already can tell though, if we've got 20s here and then we're too big with these 10s, we're probably not going to get it, but let's figure it out anyways for some practice. 5 times 20 is going to give us 100. 20 times 100 is 2,000. That's huge. So that's not going to work for us. So we crossed that one out. Okay, so we found out which ones those were. Your classwork is going to be reflex math today. Go to the green light and get your daily goal, and that's all you'll have to do for your classwork for today.